Well, alas, my e-bike is now just plain bike. The E is gone. I removed the E from e-bike and people are thinking, why would you do that? Why would I do that? It's a long story, but I'm gonna make it longer. Going back to the beginning, I had ridden a bike in Sorrento, Italy. I like to tell this story because I was in Sorrento, Italy. But I rode some e-bikes with a friend and it was really cool, it was fun. And these were only 250 watt bikes, but I was like, dang, this is just great to have electricity powering my bike instead of just me. So it worked pretty well. I got back and I thought, I'm gonna make an e-bike. So next thing I know, I figured 250 when I can get 500, 750, 1,000. 1,000 sounds good, I got 1,000. And that's where the trouble started. Well, actually wasn't trouble, but that was probably my mistake. Now it's not a mistake I regret, it was fun doing it, but in the end it was better to strip it all away and go back to the basics, go back to the beginning. Because if you think about it, a bike should be either really, really light or have, I guess, if you can have power, very powerful I suppose, but there's got to be something in between because power equals weight. And the main problem I was having with a 1,000 watt motor and a battery to power it was the weight of the bike became 62 pounds, and that's not a light bike to begin with. I mean, it's a cheap mountain bike, probably 32 pounds to begin with, but the extra components just double the weight of the bike, and that just made it really tough if I wanted to just pedal without using the motor. It just became almost impossible. But the pedal assist, the first mode of pedal assist, made it go to 15 miles an hour, so I'm not really working out because it's just like a leisurely pace. You just can't get a good workout at that point. I'm not knocking e-bikes, you can work out on them and they can allow you to do so much. I mean, there's other things you can do with them, but for exercise alone, if your main point is exercise, then I don't know if it's the best idea in the world. Or maybe a 250 watt motor is best, but then again, you're dealing a lot of that 250 watts is going to move the extra weight, so it's really tough to decide. And my point isn't to force a decision on anyone, not that I could, but it's just 5 considerations if you are thinking about getting an e-bike. And this is mainly for an e-bike conversion. It's just what I did. So I have in my hot little hands the wheel that you get with a kit. This is a 1,000 watt wheel and it has a little sprocket. I think it came with a sprocket, or I might have to put it on. They're actually in design, they're very simple. They took a wheel, they put on a motorized hub and a little cord that comes out that kind of fits together with the rest of the system. And this thing, the problem is, this is 16 pounds. So all of a sudden, a normal wheel may be like 5 pounds. I mean, again, if it's not a great wheel. The more expensive, the better, the lighter. The carbon fiber stuff, but I don't got a smaller hobby. It's not that big of a hobby for me. Anyway, so 16 pounds. So this is 1,000 watt. I thought about getting a 500 watt, but the 500 watt seems to be about the same weight that I could see online. 250 watts I think are lighter, but then again, is that even worth doing it? Why not just get stronger legs? Okay, so the first thing they actually consider is, yes, less exercise. Again, you can exercise, and there can be moments and you can just, like, even if you're going 15, work hard to get yourself to 20, but I don't want to always go 20 miles an hour. I like to just go leisurely 10 to 15, just relax, but you really can't do that. It'll either be too hard because you got the pedal assist off and you're moving 62 pounds, or it'll be too easy because you got pedal assist on. So 1,000 watts is too much, 250 I think is too light. So maybe 500 could be it could be a right balance of weight. Just things to keep in mind that it's kind of harder to exercise. Not saying you can't, I did. I believe I still got some exercise, but it just, if you really want a bike for exercise, then just a plain old bike, not e-bike, but a plain old bike. I think it's the best way. And for me, it's just like, there are parts where it's hard, like inclines and things, and I thought, well, just get stronger legs, just do it and build up muscle, because instead of substituting muscle with electronics, I'd rather just build up muscle. You can exercise, it's just easier to not. And if your whole point is just to catch scenery or but have the fun of going up mountains and stuff like that, because I mean, if you are doing some hard off-roading and you do got a lot of hills, yeah, having the motor can be a great advantage. It's just awesome being able to just coast up a hill basically. So while one is kind of about exercise, 2 is just about the extra weight you're going to have to deal with. This is the battery for it. This is a 48 watt, 15 amp hour. To be able to power a 1,000 watt motor, you have to have a pretty big battery. This weighs, you can get a nice workout with this. This weighs, I believe, 10.5 pounds. So all of a sudden I got the 10.5 pounds for the battery, and I've got the 16 pounds for the wheel, and I got like, so 26, getting close to 30 pounds, and there's a few other things too, so it's just, that's what kind of makes it crazy, is just like you have this extra weight. Now, again, lighter motors, 500 watt, maybe even a smaller battery, or 250 watt, or 300 watt smaller battery. Either way, it's not gonna be a big thing, but there are even 1500 watt and 2000 watts, and yeah, but you're riding a motorcycle at that point, really, a motorcycle that just happens to have a pedal. Now, I mentioned that it's a mountain bike and the kit is put on it, so all this extra weight goes onto the mountain bike, which really wasn't meant to have all the extra weight on it. However, you could just say, well, I mean, I weigh about 160, and a person that weighs 200 could be riding it, so really, that's the same weight as a 200-pound person riding the bike. And then, of course, if you had all that, it would be like 240 and stuff, so that would get kind of crazy. I just think, yeah, the bikes aren't really built for it. And the weight is not, you know, centered properly or balanced properly. You got a lot towards the back. You're not really supposed to put that much power on the front, because then it could like get you out of control. I think the bikes just aren't meant to have that. They're not stable, it's not secure. So that's why a kit might not be the best option. But if I bought a bike, and again, if you think about the pricing, I mean, with this thing, $400 battery almost, a $200 wheel, it just, at some point, it really is more cost effective to get a ready-made e-bike. And you're not going to get a top of the line one, of course, but for like $700, $800, you can get an e-bike. I would recommend the type of design where you actually can pedal and get good exercise, because some of them are made, they're really not made for, some of them don't even have pedals, but they're not really made for optimum pedaling. They're in a very weird shape, and you're kind of sitting funny, and you got little tiny wheels. It's like those are old with a penny cycles, penny farthings or something like that. Those old bicycles, it's like, you're not going to get a lot of great exercise on it. So that's why if it's going to be an e-bike ready-made, try and get one that actually is a bicycle to begin with, or has a bicycle-like design. So yeah, that was a limitation. I always just felt like with 65 pounds, even though I could go up these like dirt hills, I kind of didn't really want to all the time, just because it felt like, I mean, things were secure. Nothing ever fell off, well, except my phone when I didn't like have the extra straps around it. But I kind of felt like it just wasn't sturdy enough, wasn't solid enough to like take on these kind of things. And that extra weight actually made it harder for the tires. I had to replace the tubes and stuff with extra thick. They would like get leaks much easier. One even blew out when I was like pumping it up. So I don't know what happened there, but I now try and use earplugs when I pump up tires. It actually was like in an enclosed room, a garage. It was basically a gunshot going off almost. It was like ringing for a while. And then the third thing is you're going to be dependent on that battery. Again, I just like it because I can work out with it almost. Maybe I'll save it and just use it for weight. But the thing about the battery is, and that lasts a while. The bigger the battery, longer it's going to last on charge. So if you are going farther, if you're going really far rides, which I was doing, I was like going like 50 miles a day. So a good battery. I even had to charge it up at the halfway point at work. But yeah, when you're dependent on the battery, so if the battery dies and you forget to charge it at any point, or it runs out, or it's low charge, you're kind of screwed at that point, because a 62-pound bicycle, you're almost talking a very light motorcycle. Not quite that, but yeah, it just doesn't really work like a bicycle anymore. So you are limited to. Right now, I could take this out anytime as long as the air in the tires, but I could remedy that pretty fast. But if the battery was low or empty, I'd be screwed. I couldn't take the bike out for a ride. So having to charge the battery all the time, that was kind of a pain. And electricity too. And if it was low or if you ran out. So there are things like that to think about too. Always having to charge the battery, or bring your battery charger with you, or find a place where you can. So that was a limitation I didn't really like either. Something to think about. And if you think about having a spare, I mean, those are expensive to begin with, and to carry that extra weight on your back or wherever. One of the extra things about a battery like this is, you probably see, it didn't really fit in here at all. I mean, it just barely did. I think I had to mount it sideways and use a whole bunch of straps. I had to kind of rig it. So yeah, Velcro to kind of go around everything and secure it. I even put a covering over that so it didn't look all funny. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't consider it rigged. I mean, I made it work, but it just never really was solid. Now, these things, of course, can go on the back of the bike. You can get one of those bike rack mounts, but then it's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that wasn't good. Now you can get a smaller battery, but the limitations come from that, especially if you're trying to power 1,000 watts. So I did finally have to install the e-brakes, and that helped a lot too. So you definitely want those e-brakes, because that makes it so even if you do squeeze the throttle, turn the throttle, you can't actually activate the motor. And there were just times where I was at places where I was just kind of parking and stuff, and I just didn't. The idea that you could actually twist it and just go out over a cliff or something like that, or you're biking along cliffs and just one wrong move or something like. Because even with the pedal assist, sometimes it did like suddenly kind of jerk or suddenly go to the next level for when you didn't think you're pedaling at all. You're trying not to pedal, but I think the sensors sometimes just they think you want to accelerate when you don't. And number 5, they're just so, because of the weight, they're so much less mobile. I didn't try and take it on trains or anything. I probably could have, or buses, or actually they probably would have let it. It did look pretty much like a more bicycle than motorcycle, but they're becoming more common, so I don't know what the laws are going to be in the future as far as e-bikes. It seems I never had any problems with that. But the thing is, yeah, the weight alone makes it just so much harder. If you want to put it in the car, it's so much harder. Transporting it, yeah, the weight just became a problem. Even hanging it would be a problem. So just something to consider is that you do have a lot of extra weight. This thing is nice. I mean, this is almost, you can lift that with one hand. The other one, I don't think I'd be lifting with one hand or one arm. Yeah, so I took everything off. I took all the little components off. There's a whole bunch of gadgets here I'll probably just try and sell. I don't think I'll go back. I definitely won't go back to 1,000. Maybe I'll go to 300. It's sort of tempting. I do like the idea of just having a plain old mountain bike again. And one other thing I think I thought of afterwards, and I'd already written my list too, so maybe number 6 is that the braking system, disc brakes, I definitely think much better, of course, than the caliber squeezing ones. But it just always felt like this extra weight was making the braking system so much less effective, I think. And again, well, what's the difference between me or just having a person that happens to be 200 pounds on the bike with no electronics? It's the same weight, so the bike's acting the same way. It just seems like for whatever reason, and it might have been also accelerating through braking. I don't know what the reason was. The brakes always had to be tightened or adjusted, and with the wheel on, you can't tighten the back brake caliper because it's just the wheel hub gets in the way of sticking the Allen wrench through. So you have to take off the back wheel to adjust it. They're one of the limitations of the back wheel. Yeah, you can't just instantly go from non-e-bike to bike mode. Anyway, yeah, lots of stuff to think about. My recommendation is if you do want it, yeah, just get a ready-made e-bike. Get a solid-made one. There's so many to choose from now. And I think that the $700 range, it's going to be about the same amount of money, especially for a 1,000-watt one. The kits, yeah, I can't even find the 250-watt kits. So they all seem to be 500 and 1,000 watts, or even higher. But to me, that's just, it was too much. If I had gone with gone 500, I think I'd maybe still had it on the bike today. 250, I don't know, 250 might have been too weak. What's the point of it? At the point you really need it to get up a big hill, you can't even get up that big hill. All right, that's a lot longer. I thought this would take like 30 seconds or well, not that, but 3 minutes. But yeah, not for me. Anyway, I hope that helps.